when the operation of the machine becomes so odious, makes you so sick at heart that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part. And you've got to put your bodies upon the gears and upon the wheels, upon the levers, upon all the apparatus, and you've got to make it stop. And you've got to indicate to the people who run it, to the people who own it, that unless you're free, the machine will be prevented from working at all.
All right, so it's Thursday, Heebie-Jeebie Thursday, Thors-day, with Kennedy Walker here. I got to apologize to the audience and to you, man. The last week for me has just been really weird. I was at my friend's house watching her dog and taking care of her house, and there were some issues that I'm not going to get into, but they kept me kind of busy while I was there.
The dogs?
No, not with the dogs. Never issue with the dogs, but it was human issue. Yeah, it was human issue, and
yep.
I had a couple people came around that were not welcome, and I hastened them away from the property using my Second Amendment rights, and they thought it would be a good idea to bring the sheriff, and the sheriff was like, "Can we come on the property?" And I said, "Well, it's not really mine. We can talk right here." And they were like, "What happened?" So I told them what happened, and they were like, "All right, you have a nice day. Yeah, you have a good day." I
think it's a big mistake to ever tell them anything.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
Really,
but
find out what their authority is at the time.
Well, they didn't come on the property. They parked on the road and came up to the house, and then when I said I'd come out, they walked back out to the road.
What were their eyes doing the whole time, though? Weren't they looking around?
No, not at all.
Their ears were open to everything. So they're just sitting there collecting information.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what they're trained to do and encouraged to do. They're not encouraged to do their actual job, but these are, these were the county sheriff cops, and they, I don't want to say that I have a rapport with them, but we have sort of an unsteady alliance, right? Like they don't fuck with me, I don't fuck with them, and they're actually pretty professional. They weren't trying to, railroad me into any bullshit, but they were like, "Well, you're going to have to come down and fill out a report or whatever, so we can trespass these people if that's what you want to do." So, I called her, and, she said, "Yeah, just go ahead and do that." And then it happened again. It happened twice. Anyway, that took up a lot of my time, man. That, and there were things around the house that I couldn't just leave the way they were that I had to fix. So anyway, you probably understand, having a construction background yourself. You see something broken or it needs to be fixed, and you gotta take care of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't accomplish anything these days, but yeah, I just got my foot up and barely walk.
Yeah, so
open.
So when do you got to go to court? Your court's like tomorrow, isn't it?
Yesterday.
How'd it go?
Shit show.
Same as
I
usual.
have grounds for appeal. Oh my gosh, dude. These people understand the law just as well as these morons that are hollering and barking on YouTube. They honestly, bro, like you got your law degree out of a Cracker Jack box, didn't you? The prosecutor himself, deputy prosecutor anyway, Hanniger was his name. He swore a statement saying that I committed an act to interfere with this cop, and then his report didn't accuse me of any act, right? And then the police report, I got that, the discoveries. I didn't pay a dime for it, for either of them. In this state, we get a discovery for a misdemeanor too, so which is nice. All I did is take the text and throw it into ChatGPT on what I already had written, and it boom, immediately spit out, adding in all the times and names. I never get people's names. I don't give a fuck about an American's name. I never have. Bro, they used to get mad at me in college because I would never name anybody. Like, Immanuel Kant came up with cultural relativism. I don't fucking remember. But that's the point. I don't remember names. I don't see people as individual enough that they need names. I just don't. Fucking John. You're all named John or whatever. Come on. Mike.
Right.
Like, dude. And then what are your distinguishing characteristics? I don't know. I talked to him by the drinking fountain one day or something. It's like, what? There are no distinguishing characteristics. It's just one more of them.
Yeah, distinguishing characteristics would be bipedal. That's it, bipedal.
But everyone's bipedal. Well, I'm
right.
not.
I mean, that distinguishes us from wild animals only slightly.
Yeah, but I'm saying between people, there's just, what is there to distinguish you? You're going to say the same shit as your TV.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
These people have got this concept in their head that, like, the culture has the truth. Huh, you don't think women are equal or something like that, as if it's a cultural fact. As if you're not allowed to even have a differing opinion on that. Which, obviously it used to be a cultural fact that all men were created equal. And now it's a cultural fact that women need rights so that they can fuck with us. And be too dangerous to keep around. Perfectly honest with you.
Yeah, I feel that way too, man. I'm just, I'm always waiting for that next shoe to drop. That's why I don't let them into my life,
Bro, they spend their life figuring out how to get shit for free. From the house
or
they
just,
live in all the way on up.
Well, they love to create drama as well. And
that's what they do to pretend that they have some sort of contribution. They're always pretending to contribute.
Yeah.
Like that woman in Chili's, the female judge. She's just pretending to be a judge, right?
Yeah, she's just another fucking Karen, with a robe and a gavel. She's just a pimp. That's all she is, a pimp judge. They think they're something high class, but they're garbage.
She's pretending to be a public official. She's pretending to enforce laws. Bro, I think they need to give all these judges a test about the trifecta. The supremacy clause. Judges are bound to the law of the land. Not case precedent, not policies, not state laws.
Yep.
Okay, my judge and my prosecuting attorney, neither of them understand that very basic fact. And then it's repeated again in the 10th Amendment restriction on state laws. States can't create laws that violate federal rights. And then the 14th Amendment, Congress, no Congress, not your city council, not your state legislature, not the Senate, either representatives or the Senate, Congress, senators. So Senate and representatives. Yeah.
Yeah, we're living in a time where these people that are I believe that every public official, not necessarily every public servant, but every public official has gone through this indoctrination that the Constitution is the enemy of getting their job done. I truly believe that they've been taught that the Constitution is bad. Not that they haven't been taught to ignore it, they've been taught to walk all over it. They might act like they ignore it. Of course they ignore it because they just want to operate on their policies and their everything that you just mentioned. I'm not going to say it all again. But it's Civics 101, man. They fail at Civics 101.
Yeah, these guys were terrible.
Yeah.
Every time I cited a law, supremacy clause covered supreme law of the land. Oh, bro, they'd cite like a case precedent that really didn't even apply. It's just like, dude, not only does your case precedent not apply, but then now it's somehow your case precedent is going to override the law of the land. It's like, dude, it's quite literally just the basics, the absolute basics. And people believe in this stuff, bro. I can't understand it. People come to my channel every day and they can't make a fucking point.
Yep.
And yet they're so sure that they're correct and that they can't be argued. They literally don't think they even need to create a point. Like it's just an immutable fact of the universe that these people are useful or some shit like that. Couldn't be further from the truth. It's just the exact opposite. If it's so debatable, then how the hell do you know that there's any reason to spend $1 on it, let alone trillions? The New York Times ran a story saying the Constitution was the biggest threat to our political process. I'm not surprised.
In a way, in a way, that's true because these people want to have it their way, and the Constitution is a brick wall that extends infinitely up and infinitely to the left and to the right, preventing them from doing what they want. But, if they ignore it or they just treat it with contempt, then they figure, it's okay. We'll just do whatever we want. And that's why we're at where we're at now. And this is why the New York Times is publishing this kind of crap. Yeah, it's a threat to the political process if your political process is going to be fascism, totalitarianism, socialism, communism, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, it's a threat to all those. If that's what you want, then yeah, it's a threat to your political process.
Oh, and they want it. I can't believe how much these people desire this. For such arbitrarians, people that don't, they're just kind of no opinions in them. It's like, why the fuck do you need somebody attacked for your worthless life to be okay?
Right. Why do you
What is wrong with you?
Yeah, why do you have to throw somebody in prison for nothing? Or why do you have to, just like the case that they think they have against you, man. There's nothing there except retaliation, and these pigs are just, they're like spoiled little kids, and you knocked their ice cream cone into the dirt that day. And you hurt their feelings and you made them cry, and they knew they couldn't.
Every time I see them, I'm pointing out to them that they're doing something weird.
Right.
Every time. And it's usually a crime. So that means it's not just like my opinion that it's bad. It's like, I'm going to swear to these events and I'm going to call it a crime and I'm going to report you for a crime. And then you and your socialist friends are going to collaborate against us, even though we have a law against fascism. It's the 14th Amendment. They're going to go ahead and be fascists, and they're going to say, you're the American, that means you get charged, you go to jail. We're the socialist fucking traitor, that means that anything we do is perfectly fine. I mean, God, man, how anyone could support these people? It's honestly, it honestly makes me sick.
Yeah,
someone could be
insane.
That stupid. It's totally like believing in something that it's so much worse than just like some random religion. Because this is verifiably wrong in every aspect, and it's just pathetic.
Well, these people that have been in charge since forever, I don't even, I can't even put my finger on a timeline and say this is when it started, because it probably has always been there. There were always people involved in the political process all the way back to after the Constitution being ratified that had, royalist leanings, and that's fucking socialism. Well, we got to make sure that we have nobility and a king and all that shit, and that's what these socialists are doing, except they all think that they're kings. All of them think they're kings. These people are fucking trash. But then Americans just say, well, you can't fight City Hall. Well, guess who made that fucking statement? Guess who made that little saying? One of these socialists made that up. You can't fight City Hall. Let's start this. Death and taxes. Death and taxes. This is another thing that they made up,
Well, it's true that you can't fight them because you don't have enough time to even... Bro, just keeping track of all the crimes they've committed against me actually requires AI, and it requires, like, computers. Like, otherwise, I'd need secretaries, I'd need fucking... Seriously, like, bro, it is like a full-time job just keeping track of all of their violations of policy and law, and just the fucking way they act at all is disgusting. And I did call these the judge and the prosecutor sovereign servants. And I pointed to the cop in the room, and I said he thinks he's a king. And then this is where it gets confusing, because now he thinks you're a bigger king, and you apparently you're like a medium king to the prosecutor. And it just doesn't make sense. You just want it to be whatever the hell you come up with, so that you can do whatever you want. And that's what it is. That the law doesn't exist. What exists is fascism.
Yeah.
Where if
whatever
you do
I
it,
want.
it's a crime, and if I do it, then it's perfectly fine. It's a violation of 14th Amendment, equal protection under the law. And I pointed out all this stuff. It's all in black and white. But bro, he didn't even read my. I don't think this judge can read. To be perfectly blunt about it, he's not very intelligent, and it took 2 hours to get through what we did, and he didn't get through all of it, and then he claimed that he did, and he was just skipping everything, and just like he would just be like, no, that doesn't apply, that doesn't apply. Bro, I have analyses from ChatGPT saying, oh yeah, this is a well constructed filing, and with strong points indicating that you can't be charged with this crime or whatever, right? And then the judge's analysis is, oh no, that doesn't apply. That's just, oh, that's nothing.
Right, and that's arbitrary decision making on the fly, and that's not the system that we have in this country. What we have in this country is a rigid law. It's called the Supremacy Clause, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. Everything that's covered by the Supremacy Clause might as well be made from fucking kryptonite, man. And these people are all Superman, they think. And the Constitution is a kryptonite, so oh no, we can't look at that. We can't use that. We can't use that.
Yeah, but it's still appeal grounds. Bro, immediately, as soon as,
Well, first of all, it's a mistrial because the judge is a fucking idiot, and he's not recognizing that you're bringing motions. He's not recognizing anything that you have to say, which makes it a fucking mistrial.
Yeah, it's a total sham because he's supposed to be an impartial arbiter, right?
Right. He's not supposed to be just making up shit on the fly, like obviously.
On their side, just blatantly on their side.
All of them do that, man. All of them.
Yeah,
at least at a certain level. Once you start going up a little bit higher, like you get into like a circuit court judge, they're better. They don't have these local biases because they move around. I'm not sure how it works now, but I know that back in the day, the judges used to. Yeah, the judges used to travel in their district instead of sitting in one place and getting sucked up with everybody. But that was, I don't know, man. These judges,
Well, I haven't seen Judge Hung, so they either have like an alternating schedule, and they do stay here in this jurisdiction, or I think it has to be that. I think they have to be elected here. Or I don't know.
Yeah, well, you're dealing with county judges, right? The circuit judges work the whole fucking state. As I understand it, I've read about it.
It's different in every state.
Right.
All these states have different laws, and they can exist just so long as it doesn't violate federal law.
Right. Exactly.
Treaties.
And that's the other thing I don't understand. Right. Like these judges. The things that they do and the way that they conduct their courts are completely opposed to federal law. How the fuck do they stay on the bench? How do they stay on the bench?
Well,
they don't have
charges on them, for one thing. But I did go ahead and file charges on both my judges with the sheriff the day before court, violating my constitutional right to record. So disrupting my business is the state charge. Contempt of court for disrupting the proceedings. Okay, remember, Judge Hung canceled one hearing and stopped one hearing, and refused to move forward.
Right,
So
being a baby about your camera. Yeah.
So he obstructed justice. and it was to get me to stop recording, which obviously he's trying to destroy evidence, right? And so he got official misconduct as well. So 3 charges on both judges. Both judges got both of them. And so then I also threw that into the court record because, if they put me in prison or something, I'm going to be pointing out, hey, look, it's in the court documents themselves that the judge has already committed a crime against me. How the hell would I ever get it? Oh, what was that comment? I missed it.
Sorry, I accidentally hit my mouse. Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good
Is there
question.
any way to hold this judge accountable now?
Yeah.
Should we put together the federal criminal complaint right now? We could do that. It'll be pretty quick, actually.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. Let's go ahead and do that, man. Let's go ahead and do that. I don't really have a lot of time today. Let's get through this and talk just a little bit more, and then I gotta go. I got stuff to do, things that I wasn't able to put off. Okay. So how can I make this? Man, it won't let me make it full screen. Let me see.
Okay. I filed several different motions too, so why don't I just mention those?
Yeah. What did he say about your motions?
Venue. I did a motion to change venue based on that I've arrested so many people in this jurisdiction, and every one of them has been, protected from prosecution. And so that means that I couldn't possibly get a fair hearing in this county, right? Dismissed that and said it had no basis. Even though I've arrested literally.
Wait. He won't give you change of venue?
No, he won't.
Well, then you're going to have to kick it up to somebody else, man, to get a change of venue. You have to kick it to another jurisdiction. Go with the state or go with the next nearest city or whatever. Is there a big city anywhere nearby?
Not in my state. Okay, another thing that I did was motion to dismiss with prejudice. That was for the misdemeanor disrupting the cop, right? For arresting a cop. And they called it,
Yeah, interference is a physical act, and they refuse to admit that that's the truth. They fucking refuse to do it, just like...
Oh, I told them that the prosecutor swore that I committed an act, and then he didn't accuse me of an act, and neither did the police report accuse me of an act. And so there's no basis at all for the charges, and he wouldn't dismiss it. What a scumbag.
God, he's
no complaint, no anything. No body of the case, There's no body. Think of the body. If there's a crime, how do you know that there was a murder? Because there's a murdered body there, right?
Yeah, well, that law's out of the way now too. They can convict you of murder without a body now.
No, the laws.
They think they can.
They will convict you on nothing.
Yeah,
they will
absolutely.
convict you on not violating policy. So
right.
Yeah, it's literally meaningless. Motion for continuation, so it was continued until January. Amended motion to suppress. He didn't read that, and he claimed that he did. And I'm just telling him, like, dude, any information that was taken without a warrant needs to go. And they said that's not specific enough. Because they violated my rights so much that it's not specific enough. Nothing they seized or searched without a warrant. Nothing. So then I amended it and listed all of the things, like you searched a database for my name. So that's fruit of the poisonous tree. And then everything stems from this concept that you're dealing with Kennedy Walker versus who you should be dealing with, which is just guy on the side of the road. That's who you need to understand, that's who they're dealing with, because this needs to be suppressed because it's fruit of the poisonous tree because you seized it. And then how about the cops? What are they doing with their eyes all the time? Searching. Right. So anything they see, all their testimony is an illegal search because it's done without a warrant. Anything they hear, all their testimony, and then I pointed out I invoked my Sixth Amendment right to counsel, and they continued pressing me. And then these guys admit it in their own police reports. he invoked his Sixth Amendment right to counsel, and then he just wouldn't answer any of our questions, and we just kept trying to get him to answer. It's like, dude, you're admitting to crimes, you idiot. That you're trying to bully me into admitting something. And then they believe that they produced the probable cause. And this judge, I told that judge that it's a judge that determines probable cause and signs a warrant. And the judge said, no, there's a state law that says that cops can determine probable cause. First off, he didn't cite it or anything, so no one knows what the hell he's talking about.
Yeah, because it doesn't exist. I guarantee you it does not fucking exist.
And if it does, it's just null and void.
Yeah, it's probably just policy, and because they have these muddled little animal brains, they have the brains that God gave a fucking field leech, okay? They have no brains at all. All they are is blood-sucking parasites, man. That's all they are. If they cannot charge anybody with violating their policies because we are not beholden to their policies. Their policies are for their employees. Okay, so they say, well, the cop can have probable cause. He can create probable cause. So say you. Constitution says something different.
Yeah, Fourth
And I
Amendment
guarantee you,
says, judge and a warrant.
yeah, and I guarantee you that state law does not say anything like that. State law does not say that the cop can produce, can create probable cause. He
and
can't.
even if it does, it would just be null and void because it's contemptuous to the Constitution.
Right.
Yeah, the Fourth Amendment requires a warrant signed by a judge for any search or seizure to be reasonable. What's the reason? It's a warrant, and it's determined by a judge. So that's
Based
the separation of powers.
Yep.
Yeah, based on an injured complainant's sworn statement and damages. And that's how we know if we're dealing with an actual crime versus maybe your political beliefs or something like that, because that's what I'm being charged with here.
Yeah, that's what
this can
yeah,
happen
that's what this is.
There's no complainant and stuff. So here's my criminal complaint against the judges. The criminal complaint is filed against Judge Hung and Judge Landis for actions amounting to contempt of court as defined under ORS 33.015, as well as official misconduct under ORS 162.415, and disorderly conduct which disrupted judicial proceedings and violated my constitutional rights. Count 1, disorderly conduct and contempt of court by Judge Hung. Incident overview on or thereabouts 8/27/24 during a court hearing in courtroom 1. I, Kennedy Walker, was lawfully recording the proceedings to ensure accurate documentation, giving the legal complexities and my pro se representation. Judge Hung, upon noticing the recording, abruptly terminated the hearing and compelled me to return the next day without any legal justification. Disorderly conduct, Judge Hung's abrupt termination of the hearing and his demand that I return the next day caused significant disruption, inconvenience, and distress. This behavior fits the definition of disorderly conduct under ORS 166.025.1, as it involved creating a public inconvenience and disruption in a court proceeding. Contemptuous actions. By ending the hearing arbitrarily and without legal cause, Judge Hung willingly interfered with the court proceedings, delaying justice and creating unnecessary obstacles to my legal defense. His actions impaired the respect due to the court and obstructed the administration of justice, fitting the criteria for contempt of court under ORS 33.015.2a. Now, guys, this is how contempt of court is to be used by an injured complainant, a real American. They've talked us into the opposite, that it's a hammer that they get to swing at you and deprive you of due process with. And oh, you're your own attorney? Well, how many times have I been threatened with jail, guys? Think about your attorney being threatened with jail and anyone looking at those proceedings like they're legitimate. It's not legitimate with all these threats and stuff.
No, not at all. Not at all. They're just, it's all just bitchy little drama from these socialist queens. That's all it is, man. They're a bunch of queens, and they think that they're royalty. All they got to do is just make the gestures, and that's what they think, man. And they, Jesus Christ, man. If this isn't judicial misconduct, I don't know what is, man. This is...
Well, we're going to file the federal criminal complaints, or at least write it right now. Okay, so count 2, official misconduct, contempt of court, and violation of First Amendment rights by Judge Landis. We're just going to get into the same type of crap. The difference here is that Judge Landis cited UTCR 3.170 as a pretext to restrict my ability to record the proceedings, claiming it as a basis to infringe upon my First Amendment right to freedom of press. And under Supremacy Clause, we already know. And remember, guys, I gave him a notice, and it had the Supremacy Clause in it, right? So, I mean, I'm just saying this is a judicial order, not a law, and has no bearing on me, as the courts do not create laws. Any rule or order that violates federal constitutional rights is null and void. Recording is lawful. It's all the same crap, right? All right. So
over and over and over again.
Well, it's the two different people. Okay,
right.
So here's
but
what
I'm saying, at least they're consistent, man. If we can say that about them, at least they're consistent. They're consistently fucked up in the head. That's what they really are. But, anyway, go ahead, man.
I'll just go ahead and start like a new thread here. Oops. Where is it? Okay. I want you to use this state of Oregon criminal complaint that I'm going to paste in to write a federal criminal complaint. And that means I want the state laws to be replaced with federal laws that apply to these circumstances. Okay. So, let's make this. Federal criminal complaint in the United States District Court. Complainant, me, defendants, them. Notice how it says complainant. They're using this word plaintiff all the time. And I'm not sure exactly what they're trying to say with
well,
that.
Plaintiff is a subservient position to come from, okay? Complainant means you're in charge. Complainant is an aggressive word. Plaintiff is a submissive word. You see where I'm coming from? Like they're making it that you're like on your knees begging. That's being plaintiff. Being plaintiff is appealing to somebody. Please, please. No. We're demanding, so we're a complainant.
So the state is claiming to be a plaintiff in all this stuff. And I'm not sure. It requires further. I've tried getting some information out of ChatGPT on that, and it doesn't really understand it, or it's not going to tell me or something.
Yeah, it's semantics. It's a semantics game that they play. Plaintiff, it's complainant and defendant. That's all. Or accused, whatever you want to call it.
It is in a criminal, but then in a civil, there's a plaintiff and a defendant. I'm not sure. We'll need to look into it further.
I'm telling you, it's semantics. They're not legal terms. They're just semantics to make us and them feel a certain way. It makes them feel like they're above us. Everything they do makes them feel better about themselves. Everything they're do.
They're pretending to be involved in some way when they're supposed to be not really. Because think about, it's a conflict of interest for the same people charging you to be judging you and setting up your jury and stuff like that. Like, right. Think about that. It's nonsense. Okay, so this federal criminal complaint is filed against Judge Hud and Judge Landis for actions amounting to contempt of court under 18 U.S.C. 401, official misconduct under 18 U.S.C. 242, and disorderly conduct that disrupted judicial proceedings and violated my constitutional rights.
Oh wow! So Chat GPT and went ahead and went straight to 18242.
Yep.
Went straight to that without you even prompting it. It went there.
Right. Yeah, it was not listed anywhere in that complaint that I pasted in, and it was
Yeah.
It's just basic. This is all basic law. So when Judge Hung pretends, or Judge Landis pretends like, oh gosh, you're just not quite making a point. It's like, no, bud. I tell ChatGPT to make me a point. It does it, and it's the same point that I know, and ChatGPT knows it too. So how is it possible for it to be, that just doesn't apply? Oh, treason? Oh, that just doesn't apply. Yeah, it does. If you're taking part in a war against me, then are you a judge? No.
No, you're an enemy combatant and a traitor. You're instantly not in any kind of public office. And because we are at a state of war, your continued ambulation is at risk with no warning and no warrant and no arrest.
So let me just hit kind of the highlights, and if you want to, you can pause this and read through this. But we need to get stuff like this filed just constantly. Bro, like every time you deal with these people, you just do
Wait,
voice
stop.
to text.
Stop for a second. What's USC 1507? What's that one? I'm not familiar with that one. That's a new one. And 401, that's official misconduct, right? No, that's contempt of court.
Yeah, it's listed up here. You're looking for not 401, but this one. Disorderly conduct. 18 USC 1507, as it involved creating a public disturbance in a court proceeding.
Okay.
So,
wow, Chat GPT just throws the book at him, huh?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, you just tell it to cite your laws, and you really need to be checking these laws and at least reading them and making sure that they apply. I have had at least one law that just didn't seem to apply. So
man, as we've been doing this over the last several shows, and you interacting with Chat GPT and showing us the result, I believe that a direct line, a Chat GPT should be the judge. Chat GPT, it should just be a microphone, and it should be a screen there that says what your charges are and what the state's evidence is and blah 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 blah, and then the prosecutor gets to have his say, and then the defendant, the complainant, whoever, gets to have their say, and then Chat GPT decides. I guarantee you that if Chat GPT was in charge as it stands right now, all of these people would be up on charges and thrown in jail. Chat GPT as a judge would issue warrants right then and there and call the clerk in and have you swear and issue a warrant. Have the clerk sign it, because a human being has to sign it. But man, this is the problem. And these people, they just want to do whatever they want to do, and they're not observing the law. Even Chat GPT doesn't try to wheedle its way out of this stuff and say, well, there's this judicial policy and that judicial policy. It understands that we're not beholden to any of that shit, and these judges don't. When these people finally realize that Chat GPT isn't on their side, they're going to cause an uproar. I guarantee it.
Bro, your point is amazing, and you're totally right about everything that you're saying, except for ChatGPT doesn't know that you are not beholden to case precedent unless you tell it, and I've already told it. It's learned a memory about me or something, where it talks to me like a human being instead of like a fucking moron. Jeff, your comment is amazing too, though. LOL, the cop report is a confession of their crimes. Yeah, it's a confession.
Absolutely.
I just take and copy their text, and I put it into ChatGPT with my motion for to dismiss or whatever, and it fills in things like their names and dates and stuff like that. details that I'm not allowed to even get them. You ask them for their name and they just reviews and stuff. They're just nutcases, right?
Yeah, when state law and their policy says that they have to identify. They don't have a choice not to. When you're in an official capacity, you cannot say, I'm not going to identify. You cannot do that. It's illegal. It's a crime. It's a crime.
And when you start pretending to give lawful orders, you need to identify yourself as what your authority is.
Yeah, exactly. No, you're fine. I was at the end anyway. In their reports, the pigs, admit to their crimes. Well,
sure.
They recognize that you invoke your Fifth Amendment and you cite the Sixth Amendment, yet they keep on pushing you to answer questions, which is that's a 240 violation, man.
241 is deprivation.
241. That's right. Yeah, it's 241 because
or 2 is deprivation. I think it might be.
Well, 242 is conspiracy.
The first one. Are you sure that's what it is?
Yeah, 242 is conspiracy against rights, which means two or more people collaborating against you. Which right now, what it looks like to me is you got this whole fucking police department and this whole fucking court conspiring against you.
Executive branch and the entire judiciary.
Yep, the city pigs, yeah, for sure.
And I filed charges on all of them. And see, I need to get more federal complaints written from these state in the same way that I just did that. It took me literally like 25 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, the answer came back in less than 5.
Yeah. So all it was is some word input, and then I did paste in the text that I already spent a little bit of time on.
Yeah, but still, man, and it filled in all these different state statutes that applied to what you were explaining before, and then replaced them with fucking federal laws. With federal law. I mean, how? Yeah, what's the matter? You makes a good point here. Yeah. It's totally nutty. They act like they not only can get away with breaking the law, but that doing so is also the moral thing. No,
people believe that.
Well, people believe that it's the moral thing they're doing. I don't believe that they think in any kind of way they're moral people. There's no way they can, and if they can see themselves as being moral, then they're psychopaths.
They
or
are
at
psychopaths.
least.
Bro, why do you think it's so hard to deal with them?
Right, because they're always right. You're the one who's everything they do is projection. They're like mirrors. They think that whatever you say they did, you did. So they're going to drag you into court. They disrupted your business at your house when they pulled over your next door neighbor. They disrupted your peace. That's disorderly conduct. And then they're going to say that
they misused
were interfering.
Light. They started threatening me. They also seized another man without a warrant, so that's a crime against somebody else.
Yeah. Well,
I arrested them. They deprived me of my right to citizen's arrest. Oh, state law didn't seem to matter too much then.
Yeah, but it matters now but now it matters on something that you people fabricated.
Guys, what's so funny about that is that who does the most citizens arrests? It's cops.
Yeah.
Every time they don't have a warrant, what they're actually doing is a citizen's arrest.
Which they can't do when they're in their official capacity.
Well, they don't have qualified immunity immediately the way that the cops do. They're acting in an individual capacity, but none of the prosecutors are going to understand that, and none of the judges are going to understand it.
No. Looks like we're getting one of those rare moments of lag for Kennedy. How many people we got watching? 3. We got one person lurking. Who's lurking? Whoever's lurking, speak up. I want to see who that is. Who's lurking?
What is it?
No, there's somebody lurking in the chat. Anyway, you're back, so go ahead, man. You were lagged out for a minute there.
Well, essentially what it is that if we're not going to just take the minute to put some information down, just grab their own text from their police reports or their motions. They sent me a motion addressing mine, and all I did is put it into Chat GPT, and basically it just spit out the answer. Their rebuttals were so stupid, like citing. Anyways, I already mentioned that, but
Well, yeah, they were citing policies, not law.
yeah, case
Or they were
state law, anything subservient to what I cite, and they're just like, oh, well, let's see, you're the state, that means I'm going to go with you.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way.
Such a fucking scam, bro. I don't know how stupid a person would have to be to go for it, but they're everywhere, man. They're at my channel commenting right now.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. So we got 4 in now. Somebody else just popped in. I'm betting that's Diesel.
Well, do you got to go, or should we open it up to somebody?
No, I'm good for a little.
There.
I'm good for a little bit longer, man. Yeah, if anybody wants to come in, I'll put the link up. Anybody wants to come in and yak for a minute?
Yeah, it's terrible. We're scum in their minds. If in conflict with them, yeah, that's right. It's not that they violate their oath every situation about everything. It's that if it ever conflicts with them, then fuck you. Too bad for you.
Yeah, and that's not how it's supposed to work. Yeah, they're absolutely.
Yeah, we have a law against fascism, 14th Amendment, equal protection under the law.
Yeah, they're absolutely psychos. They're absolutely psychos. This is, look, here's what I think the problem is. These fucking socialist criminals have gotten into the system, and they made it so these judges and prosecutors and pigs and everybody else can profit tremendously from doing their job. They've made it a reward, okay? It used to be like a punishment to be in those kind of positions because you're subservient. And they used to know that. They used to understand that, at least at some point in history. Like I said, I can't put my finger on a timeline and tell you where, because this is, at some point in the history, there was some incremental creepage that was going on, like soil creep. Like the topsoil will move downhill with gravity and hydrostatics and all that. It's that creep that we're seeing in our society, and now we're at the end game of it, where there's 3 or 4 possible outcomes, and we have talked about the 2 outcomes that socialism is guaranteed. That there's only 2 possible outcomes: communism or societal collapse. Those are the only 2 things that can result from a socialist system, and that's period. Look at Canada. Canada's been taken over by these socialists for years and years, and now they're moving into a full communism stage where the state can seize your assets just because you disagree with them. It's no different than what we got going down here. It's just a lot more blatant and it's out in the open. Okay, Diesel wants to come on and talk. What's up, Diesel?
How y'all doing?
Good. Just bashing on socialists.
It's a battle, isn't it?
Well, these people, they think they're something that they're not. You want to talk about delusions of grandeur. Not only are these people psychopaths, but they're also suffering from Munchausen, the worst parts of Munchausen syndrome, and delusions of grandeur, which are almost the same thing, but Munchausen is a little bit different. Go ahead, man.
Well, I was kind of thinking, and I don't like using case law, but there is certain things that can actually protect you, and that we don't use very often. Is one of the main ones is Miranda, and it says it cannot compel you to give evidence. Well, this argument's sake, you get pulled over by the car, and they say, "I want to see your driver's license, insurance, registration." That's evidence. That's compelling you by
Listen,
the threat.
Miranda is explaining the 4th and the 5th Amendment. So that's why you don't mess with that lower crap, because you need to be talking about the 4th Amendment right to be secure in your person and your papers and your effects, maybe your identity or,
Yeah, Miranda is basically, it's a net to catch the people that are ignorant of their rights. It's a last chance for you to shut your mouth and not comply. That's what Miranda is. You
Yeah,
know,
but
to
also you just hold them accountable. Miranda, are you going to use this against me in a court of law? Yes or no, officer?
Yeah, that's the Fifth Amendment, though. That's
Yes.
why you're not citing Miranda. You're going to cite a law.
right, go straight to the fourth and then the fifth in
Mm.
that particular case. Yeah, exactly. We're not compelled to witness against ourselves in any way, verbally, materially, or through action. Are we compelled in any kind of way? And this also points back at the pig's statement in his report. He's admitting that he was trying to compel you. He's admitting that.
Oh, they
He
admitted a bunch more, too. Yeah, for sure.
it's unbelievable. You got to make sure that when you send in your complaint to the feds, that you send along copies of those reports. You know, copy those and send them too, because that's evidence, man. That's evidence against them.
You know what it is, though?
It's a confession.
These these reports just say they talk about that it's in these police reports. And so that's why providing the document, because it's not evidence, because they don't have like a chain of custody and stuff like that. So you just mention it, and if they need it in a prosecution, then it can be found because you're essentially citing a document.
Right, right. Yeah, Diesel Miranda is it's a catchment for people that don't understand their rights. That's
Yes.
what it is. Or somebody who's not conversant in our language. It's it's based on Miranda didn't speak English, I believe is how this went, right? So he didn't understand. And obviously he might not have been ignorant completely to the civics 101, but Miranda was created as a catchment. This is your last chance to, stand on your rights. Not that you have to sign off on it. It's just a verbal recognition that you do have these rights. And the cops hate using it, man. They hate it.
So
They
if
hate
you
it.
cite Miranda to a judge, and a judge is not bound to Miranda, then how have you helped yourself? The judge
Right.
is bound to the Fourth Amendment. He is bound to the Fifth Amendment. He is not bound to case precedent like Miranda. And
Yeah.
so
Right.
you're
But when
wasting
you-
your time, and you're not getting great grounds for appeal, even though it's probably maybe good enough grounds for appeal, but it's not great because you want to be very specific. You want to cite things that the judge is bound under. Not that it helps in a lot of cases, but if you're talking to a judge that actually is competent in the law, mine
Who's
have
actually an
not been.
American. Yes.
Yeah.
If you're talking to a judge who's actually an American citizen and not a traitorous enemy combatant like these two fuckers that Kennedy's seen so far, they're both. Listen, man, they need to be arrested and and they need to be dealt with as traitors during wartime. Period.
It needs to be clear that their actions are definitely bad. And so that means the penalty has to match this, because at this point they think it's a total joke where they're just gonna just do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah, and man,
Well, and there we go again, right? Even though statutes, codes, rules, and regulations does not apply to us, when they bang you with that stick, shoot you in the back, well, that statute, codes, rules, and regulations damn sure feel like it applies to you.
Well,
well,
sometimes statutes and codes do apply to you, but yeah. Look, you're going to end up with appeal grounds. I'm not saying that the system is good. We wouldn't be here if it was good, but
Right.
you are going to at least, this isn't the 1500s in a dungeon. It's a little bit different. It's 2024 in a dungeon, so it's a little bit different, maybe a little bit better. Maybe there's a little check on it. Still, people are getting out of prison all the time that have been in for like 17 years that were proven to not even be at the scene or whatever it is.
yep.
It happens all the time.
I will give you guys a perfect example of that. I might have talked about this in a previous show, but there's a movie called Thin Blue Line, and it's from the 80s, right? This is before the public really started talking about the blue line and the blue gang and all this. They anyway, Randy, I'm thinking his name was Weaver, Randall Weaver. I believe that was his last name. I can't, off the top of my head, I can't remember. Anyway, this was in the 70s, and him and his family went to our church, and we knew them, and he was, friendly with my dad, and like he'd come over every once in a while if he, needed help or wanted to help my dad with something or whatever, like, whatever. He was an acquaintance. He wasn't a great friend to the family, but he was friendly. He was a nice guy. Well, the economy went to shit up here, so he went down to Texas to work in the oil fields. Well, on the way, he picks up this hitchhiker, and then he drops this hitchhiker off. I don't remember the exact story, but anyway, he ends up getting picked up for murdering this cop on the side of the road, and they threw his ass in prison, with basically no fucking evidence whatsoever. All they had was hearsay from this dude that he picked up, and the dude that he picked up is the one that did it, but he did it before he ever got picked up by Randall. Of course, they never were able to prove that he did it. They just convicted him on hearsay, and it took, man, he was in prison for 18 years or something, maybe more than that, just on hearsay. And he had no criminal record prior. He wasn't a crook. He wasn't a drunk. He might have smoked a little bit of pot or something, but so what? So what? And this was,
well,
way
the
back
so what
then.
is it's against their religion.
Right.
And they can't have you out here making choices. What a
Right.
stupid concept that they can illegalize our property anyway. I
Right.
have a Fourth Amendment
exactly.
right to be secure in my property, and now you're going to illegalize it? So am I secure in my property if you're running around threatening people if they have that kind of property?
The bigger issue is Hell versus Hinkle. Argument's sake, if I wanted to get some type of alleged drug, right? I have a private contract with another man. Has nothing to do with the government. And
Right,
and
because they don't run our lives.
Commerce
Right.
is protected under life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It's commerce. It's that to exist, you need to do business and trade things and make
but in
profit.
order
And
to do business, they want you to have a nexus and be creature of the state. But you don't have to be that creature of the state, and you don't have to have a business license under the private contract agreements.
Right. Well, business license is all a bunch of bullshit anyway. The requirement for a business license is illegal. It's unconstitutional, and it's extortion. All it is fucking extortion. It's a tax on future business that you're going to do, and since we're the gang who's protecting you from the other gangs, you got to pay us protection money. That's what that license is for. It's extortion. It's racketeering. Man, it's racketeering, period. All of this is racketeering. All of it. It's all criminal. Everything that these people do.
As far as I know, here in the state of Texas, we're the only one actually, and I hate using codes again, but we actually have a statute with the code, criminal code of 39.
codes are laws. You can use
this
codes.
is particularly a statute of criminal codes.
Yeah,
You know
it's
how
a law.
they do that. But on the other side is this particular statutes actually goes after the government officials and making their stuff felonies.
Wow. Okay. So
Yeah, Texas, is, as far as
that's a
I know,
plus.
is the only. Yeah, Texas is the only one I know about that actually has this, that you can actually go after the government officials.
What? No, it's everywhere in the country. It's equal protection under the law.
Yeah,
Right.
If someone commits a crime against you, they're prosecuted the same as if you commit a crime against them. And if you're not, or they are not, or you are, then we've got some sort of discriminatory practices going on. We've got some conspiracy, all
Right.
felony. All
yeah,
that
yeah.
felony.
It's all anything that violates that
Both state and federal felonies.
is that's that's 242, period, because it's conspiracy. 2 or more people is a conspiracy as defined by law. Once you get to a certain number, it becomes racketeering. It becomes whatever, the RICO, right?
Yeah,
It becomes
RICO.
RICO. Yeah, it becomes
Criminal
RICO.
organization. And that's
Right,
what
and-
these guys actually are. They need to. That needs to be a part of all my federal criminal complaints on them.
Yeah,
Is that this
yeah.
needs to be a RICO investigation where we're literally looking at every single public employee, because all of their conduct is just, it's all part of a criminal mechanism. It's all a scheme.
Oh, it's all spectacular crime, is what it
Yeah.
is. You know, it's just,
And-
it is.
and that's the reason why I really appreciate that one particular code, right? So if I go after filing any criminal complaints against any judges or any elected officials and all that, I actually have that to actually go in there and have some form of standing.
Well, you have standing anyway,
Yeah.
because you're a citizen of the United States and you understand your rights, and you can pass that citizenship test. That's
And
called
he's saying
law
that he
enforcement.
can make filings on this.
Right. You have
situation.
you have a specific. That's your anchor point. Right. Yeah. Exactly. Because it's addressed in the state code. That is a constitutional statute. Every state should have that statute, and under that statute, it should address everything: disorderly conduct, physical assault.
These laws
extortion.
exist everywhere.
Yes, exactly.
Just ask ChatGPT to help you find citations and stuff. Make sure that you're asking for citations, and then you check them. You got to check them.
Yes.
Make sure that they're not confused, because I have found at least one that was.
Yeah,
Oh
you
yeah,
got
look what I
all
found.
the
Many
right
companies
line.
are producing decal stickers and T-shirts featuring the Punisher emblem colored with or alongside the thin blue line. Oh yeah, it's a fucking terrorist flag. How much
yeah.
more evidence do you need that these people are not Americans than the fact that they have a different flag?
Well,
Well,
we are the enemy. Street cop training. Every single pig that went on that stage considers every single American to be the enemy of the police. Every single one. Same thing with this scumbag, David Grossman. His name is perfect, Grossman, because he is a gross man. I bashed his ass open in one of my little short videos. But this is the predominant attitude with these cops, and that's why they keep wanting all this military equipment, because they as stupid as they are, they're not so brazen and deluded that they don't understand that if they keep on pushing, there's going to be a pushback.
Let me tell you, if we get invaded, the first people that are going to turn on us are going to be the police.
Of course.
They'll sell us to whoever, the pinkos, right?
Absolutely.
And they'll just join them. They'll literally just, just join you.
Yeah, they'll be the first people that the invaders will approach. They'll come and get them from
We'll
their
run
homes.
your town for you, and we'll keep the writing down or whatever like that while you move on to the next state or whatever.
Right.
Seriously,
Well,
the first problem would be our own public servants. The army, who knows what they're going to do, but we can't really trust them after their past behavior.
Well,
No,
the number one evidence we have is videos from other countries of officers doing the exact same thing as the officers are doing here. So we live in the land of the free, but while we doing the exact same process as other countries. So wake up, people.
Yeah. Well, human beings, since we started living in large communities and then cities and then city-states and then states and then countries, as power domains grew bigger, a certain percentage of the society is going to be followers, period. And that's going to be most people. And then we got this little tiny increment of, this little tiny segment of the society that wants to be in control. They're control freaks, they're psychopaths, they're narcissistic, they're sociopaths, they have delusions of grandeur, blah, blah, blah. They rise into these positions of power and they train all of their followers to be that way, man. I mean, that's just, it's just how it's always been since maybe even, prior to that.
Well,
know,
it's self-evident when we did the Revolution War, it was 3%.
right?
Everybody else hid underneath the table and licked the old lady.
Yeah. What's the matter? Has this to say? Other countries copy our police and bring them in for seminars and training, etc.
Yep.
That is sort of true.
Everything's moving leftism. All the countries.
Absolutely.
Try to
absolutely.
name a conservative country. I don't know what it would be.
Well, I would say Poland, to a certain extent. They're trying at least to conserve their culture, and they're throwing people out that are this, that, or the other thing. Or maybe it's Hungary. Maybe it's Hungary. Maybe it's Hungary.
Conservative means small government. So if you're throwing people out of the country, that means you've got a leftist government.
Well, or they're not letting in people that are going to dilute the culture.
Conservative doesn't have anything to do with any of that.
Exclusionism is not part
of the power of the government.
Right. Exclusionism is a socialist ideology. Yeah. So, but that's as close as you're going to get to a conservative country. There are no conservative countries on this planet. There just aren't. They don't exist. Because
maybe in Africa or something. I don't know.
Yeah, but yeah, possibly. But then again, their governments are all gangs. Somebody becomes a regional governor or whatever. Well, he hires his whole family, and those family members all know people, and it just becomes one big gang, just like every other government. That's how it goes in Africa. Yeah.
If you guys check out Sovereign Living on YouTube, there is actually a couple of cases that was brought up in common law and against the 14th Amendment and all that kind of stuff, and standing their ground in that jurisdiction. And it's really an awesome document, and he read it and showed it on the screen. So even if you want to kind of pause it and read over it again and all that kind of stuff, of course I have a 65-inch screen TV, so I can clearly read it when I did pause it.
Right.
But if you check out that YouTube and just look at that document, this guy really did a good job of challenging it.
You really want to stick with the law, not common law. We have a law. Judges are bound to it. You're going to have to remind them they're bound to it. They probably can't read like my judge. It's still in your document, though, so you've still got appeal grounds, regardless of how dumb your judge is.
Yeah. You always have a piece
in his document.
Citations that are supreme.
Yeah,
that's what I'm
Diesel.
saying.
We're not trying to go outside of our scope here, man. No offense, but all this common law and sovereign citizen stuff is, man, it's we're coming at it from a
claim versus the proof, whereas those are claims. But we're just trying to go right to the proof, which is the law that falls under supremacy clause.
Right. That's why I changed immediately. As soon as we started talking and I started learning about supremacy clause from you, Kennedy, I changed my channel name instantly. As soon as there was a bell that rang in my head, and I thought, what's the point of overturn Terry versus Ohio? It makes no fucking sense. So I changed the name of my deal. Supremacy clause is where it's at, man. It is non-negotiable. It's non-negotiable. It applies every day, all day, 365 days a year, every day of the century, every day of the millennium, as long as we can make it stick. Make it stick and be the complainants. Something's going to have to turn one way or the other.
As long as you stay in that four corners.
Yeah, and if we can just get people to understand that the Constitution is the supreme law of the land, which they don't. I would say 90% of Americans don't even understand the Constitution. They're so stuck at being wild apes hanging out of trees, flinging shit at everybody and doing what wild apes do. They don't really care. They're doing whatever they want. That's animalistic behavior. It's bumbling through life. It's like being a rabid raccoon that's walking down the road in the middle of the day and gets ran over. That's what you are if you don't understand the Constitution. And we have to.
One deal is you got to stand on it.
You got to stand on it. And as soon as we get even 30% of Americans standing on their constitutional rights and giving no ground, giving these motherfuckers no quarter when it comes to court proceedings and insisting on filing charges when they commit crimes against our rights.
Well, even at 3% would put the courts in chaos.
Well, probably. I don't know, man. I'm not really, I haven't really thought about statistics and shit in a meaningful way in almost 30 years. So,
I took college statistics. What was the question?
Well, I was saying if we can get 30% of Americans standing up for themselves and standing on their rights, shit would change. It would have to change. It would. 1%. The next election cycle, all the judges that don't talk about constitutional adherence are going to get thrown out. It becomes a popular point that this judge is going to. He's going to fucking bow down to your constitutional rights, which is his obligation, period. There's no discussion about it. He is subservient to us. The pigs are subservient to us. Unless you've actually done something wrong and there's a warrant with a statement sworn by an injured complainant, there's no reason for you to even fucking be in court. Yeah. No reason at all to be in court. Dismissed. Just like what's happening to Kennedy, just like what happened to Chile, just like what happened to Tuapre, just like what happened to Harvey Freebird, any of those cats, Manuel Mata, all of them, all that shit was retaliation. Every single fucking bit of it was retaliation and crimes against those guys. Crimes. 242s. Easily, every single one of those people that I mentioned.
And every single one of them got an attorney. And half of them people was in Texas, and none of the attorneys actually put the 39 criminal complaint on the judges, and and this is the downfall about people always getting attorneys. They're bound.
Yeah.
What's the matter? You've got a great point. What blows
that's a perfect
his mind is that no lawyers, law scholars, constitutional law scholars / experts, judges, law professors, etc., ever raise any objection to judges legislating from the bench. Bro, goodness.
Yeah, that's astounding. That's a good one. I mean, we've been screaming it, but he brings up this point that nobody.
I realized this early on in my law education. That's why I didn't even declare for pre-law before I realized, oh, that's crime. Oh, that's all crime. You're all criminals. I get it.
That's a good one. What's the matter, you? All right, hey, listen, you guys. Let's close this up. I got to get going. Thanks for coming, Diesel. Last words.
Well, everybody just stay in honor and respect one another rights, and just stay in your own guidelines and do not cause any harm to any other man or woman.
That's right. And then go ahead and make sure that your filings indicate all that, and then use ChatGPT, guys. I took writing classes and I still use it because why? Writing takes time. You've got to structure your paragraphs and what needs to come first and what needs to be last. And
ChatGPT has a deep database of correct sentence structure. None of these lawyers or judges or prosecutors can say, well, this wording is wrong, so we got to throw this out. They just ignore it because they know that it's right on.
Well, the side note on that, these attorneys are starting to say, hey, we don't like chat. I wonder why.
They don't like ChatGPT. Yeah. There are some lawyers that are bitching about it, but you know what? Hey, any lawyers out there, do your fucking job. Start taking some civil rights cases, man. If you do it and you take it all the way, listen, if I was 10 years younger, I would have my ass down at Capital University getting my pre-law done. And I would become a civil rights attorney. And I'll be rich within 10 years. Rich.
I wouldn't go
swimming in money. Swimming in money. Huh?
Well, there's this guy here in Texas named Randy Kelton. He's actually putting the Texas Supreme Court appeals, and he's suing all of them under gang activity.
Wow, so he's got him under a RICO spec, sort of. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. All right, listen, it was a good conversation today. I think that we made some quantum leaps today on this. Kennedy, you always have really good insights, but what's the matter you? That's a fucking great one, and I had one today. And Diesel, it's always nice talking to you, man. And I love you guys. Have a good day. Thanks for showing up. 6 today, man. We're back to our usual numbers instead of just 3 or 4. We're back to 6.
Don't worry, guys. We'll release something completely mundane and get 50 million views in 5 days. So.
Yeah, we probably should. I should record some of my.
Where's the sharing going on? Why is there no growth going on here?
Well,
I
it's
have
because
troll channels that highlight my channel every once in a while, and I get a lot of retards showing up. But as far as like just growth, it's just like, dude,
yeah.
Where is? Nobody can argue with any of this stuff, and yet no one believes in it. No one thinks it's true or important or it matters. It's like, dude, you got a bunch of people around you at war with you, and you're pretending like everything is fine. You hand your kids over to these people every day. They end up hating you.
Well, my famous saying is never look straight forward. Always look around you to be able to protect yourself by any means necessary, people.
Yep, and
Educate
this is it.
yourself.
Yep, supremacy clause is a whole fucking closet full of weapons to use against these people that are fucking with us. They're offensive and they're defensive. And that's why they hate the Constitution the way they do. They hate it. And that's why they hate us. All right, y'all. That's it. I'll see you later, Diesel. Thanks for coming, man.
Thanks,
Kennedy, let's I'm not going to make any promises, man, because I'm going to be busy these next few days, but when I get a chance, I know you're available. We'll do a little something else. And I think that just for a test pattern, I'm going to make a gameplay video from Conan Exiles and post it up and see what happens. See if I get a bunch of views from that. Throw something in there that's sort of nonsensical that people want to look at just to see what happens. Because like you say, this is the most important thing, man. The most important thing. The most important thing.
Yeah, a person that doesn't understand Article 6 is a moron. And if they don't understand the 10th Amendment restriction on state laws, that's a moron. And if they don't understand that Congresses can't abridge federally protected rights from the 14th Amendment, that's a moron.
Yeah.
Okay? So when you start looking around, ask yourself if the people around you are morons. And you know what you're going to find out?
The answer is yes.
All of them.
Yeah, the answer is yes. The answer is yes. What's the matter, you? Can you come on for just a minute? I want to hear about this. Can you come into the chat? Or did he? No, everybody's still here.
Chuck Bronson's channel is so goddamn boring.
I think that he's a collaborator, man. I think that a lot of his stuff is theatrics. It's just theatrics, man. I think
they might be collaborators. They might be getting views because their channels are terrible. And it's like some agreement that they've got where it's like Long Island Audit, bro, as long as you don't actually mention any laws, you can keep getting 300,000 views.
Yeah, okay. I get what you're saying. You had a comment to make. Okay, just tell us about it real quick. What's the matter, you?
It wasn't anything big. I was trying to explain some of this stuff to Chuck Bronson, and I was pretty straightforward and clear, and I was trying to direct him to your channel. And I was just saying, and I just said a few things like, hey, they're a little harsh on your video, but just swallow your pride for a second and pay attention to what they're saying, and you can gain yourself a lot of power. And just the few things that I had said before that about, case law not really existing legitimately and this and that. And he just was like, just speak English, dude. And I'm like, how could I speak? I mean, what other English do you want to hear?
Right. How can I be more fucking clear? The Supremacy Clause is not it's not the book of Necronomicon. It's not arcane. It's not esoteric. It's just facts. It's facts, and it's supreme, and that's it. There's nothing.
And that's
more
basically what I was saying, and that's the part that he was responding to, saying speak English. I was like, bro, this isn't legalese that I'm saying.
They're willfully willfully fucking ignorant, man. Are you like in the basement or something, dude?
I am in the basement. I'm
okay.
I'm complete. My
I'm like,
foot's swollen up so bad I can't even stand up. Nothing.
oh, that sucks, man. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm just trying to think where it's
Mine is
dark
too.
in this country, and it ain't. So, yep. All right. Well, thanks for coming in and adding that. What's the matter? You take it easy, bro. And man, we'll have to get together. But did you send me Did you? I don't think you ever sent me an email. You need to send me an email, bro.
I did send you an email.
Did you?
And
All
I
right.
sent
Well,
yeah. I
all right,
sent a second one, making sure that you got it.
okay.
Check.
Did I respond?
It's just at mail.com, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, no, you didn't. I'll send another one.
Yeah, send me another one, and I'll holler back to you, and we'll get together to have a chat about a couple things. Okay?
All right.
Just check
All
your
right,
spam.
man. What's that?
Probably just check your spam. It sounds like.
Well, I think he was in there. I just think that I glossed over it or whatever. I've had a lot going on recently, and I'm kind of scatterbrained when I got too many things. It's hard for me to categorize and all that. I have difficulty keeping track of all the bullshit.
You should have seen me in court. By the time I got in there and sat down, I was so dizzy and fucked up, seeing doubles and like looking at my papers, like,
Yeah, but you got it done. I'm sure you got it done.
Well, it was in writing, and so it's in the record. So even though I couldn't really speak very well at the time, I was basically, I'm retarded. So that's the type of thing that happens when you have serious problems, is that you can't talk to sometimes, and especially after being run around and standing at counters and filling out requests that are not even necessary.
It's the whole thing is designed to be confusing and discombobulating. But anyway, man, I gotta go. Thanks for coming, Kennedy. Thanks for showing up, guys. I appreciate you, and adios.
Later, guys.